Alrighty, so it has been a while since we have done one of these, and today we are going to discuss the importance of providing your investigator with discovery. Now, if you're charged with a crime, typically you don't get a vote in this to too much degree. You hire who you believe to be a qualified defense attorney, and the defense attorney makes certain decisions regarding the case and the investigation of the case, so on and so forth. But one thing that it is crucial to do is to make sure that your investigator, one, your attorney hires an investigator, and two, the investigator is provided with all of the discovery. Why? Because there are so many things that an investigator needs to do on a defense case that cannot be properly done without discovery. First thing is, it has to be reviewed. The facts of the case must be known all the way down the line, whether it be just the allegations made by the prosecution and arresting officers, or crucial facts about where a firearm was discovered, who was involved, who was claiming what. After the discovery is inventoried by the investigator needs to be able to articulate what's missing. Do we have hundreds of photos and numerous videos missing? Do we have reports missing? If it's a death case, where's the autopsy report? These are things that an investigator can actually itemize, pinpoint, and list as missing, or whether we have them, before we get to what's even in the discovery. Then all of the discovery needs to be reviewed so that, anyone from remembers elementary school, what was it, the 5 W's and the H, who, what, when, where, why, and how. All of that can be put together, and you can actually establish a timeline or story of what was alleged to occurred. From there, it's a matter of uncovering other evidence, interviewing people, looking at various videos to see if there's anything wrong with it, seeing if the interviews you conduct with an investigator, or with a witness rather, contradicts anything that was alleged in the discovery. I'll give you an example. I worked a case where somebody was charged with 3 counts of aggravated robbery and 3 counts of aggravated assault. Well, 2 of them claimed, or maybe it was aggravated kidnapping. Actually, it was aggravated robbery and aggravated kidnapping, not aggravated assault. Anyway, 2 of them swore that my guy had a firearm. Third one simply didn't mention a firearm in his statement. Because I had the discovery, I was able to pinpoint this. I knew the right questions to ask. And when I asked the witnesses, well, did my guy have a firearm? The one that left it out of his original statement, or left out any mention of a firearm, looked me right square in the eyes and said, absolutely not, he did not have a gun. That was enough to bring into question the accusations and the statements of the other 2 witnesses, which diminished the prosecution's case. Another example is an outright claim where somebody says something occurred, but because you know that it occurred, or that they're making the allegation, and where they made the allegation, you know where to look to obtain video. And sometimes that video does exist. A lot of companies have 30-day loops, sometimes as short as 7-day loops on their surveillance video. But every once in a while you get lucky. Every once in a while you get brought on so early on the case that you're able to pinpoint that evidence. Doesn't happen often, don't get any ideas. But every once in a while you do get brought on early enough that you are able to pull up information, and you are able to discover video evidence before it's overwritten by the natural loop listing on, or setting rather, on a DVR for commercial surveillance or closed circuit surveillance. Another important thing about discovery is to know exactly what your client, or your client's client, as the case actually is, admitted to the law enforcement or stated to law enforcement before you start working an active theory. If you're working a case and you're basing off of a theory that one thing happened based on evidence that you have obtained. You're not one of these jokers that tries to come up with a theory and then find evidence to match that theory. It's a theory based on the evidence that you've obtained and information that's been given to you by witnesses. But then you find out, hey, wait a minute. The client, or the accused rather, provided an interview to law enforcement and said something entirely different. Now you've got to wonder, are all these witnesses lying to help the accused? Most likely, yes. But if you already know about this here and you're in the middle of an interview, I'm not saying that you should ever be argumentative with a witness. You should not be. You are not law enforcement. You do not have a badge if you're an investigator. And you have no authority to compel somebody to speak to you. But if you were properly trained and experienced, you know how to elicit certain responses under the right circumstances. And if you already know a statement was made in one manner and somebody says something entirely different, you can follow up with certain questions that might lead them towards telling you the truth, at least giving you a more plausible statement. And I'll get into that here in a minute. Or just flat out saying, okay, fine, you got me. Here's what really occurred. Downside is sometimes they stick to their story no matter what. Case in point, had another one, aggravated robbery and aggravated kidnapping. Imagine that. And I've already gone through the discovery. I know that one relative, one of the guy's brothers was working at the time. He was on the clock. I know that another one was at home with his wife. Verified that. Numerous witnesses. A Ring doorbell camera showed when my witness walked into his front door. I know he's home. Go to talk to the father, and through broken English, the father says, hey, my son was home with me cooking tamales all night long. Your son. Okay, was there anyone else here besides you? Yes, all my other sons. All your other sons. Yes, we were home cooking tamales. Okay, and I start naming off sons. I've got the one that I know was at work and the one that I know for a fact was at home with his wife. And I named both of him. Yes, we were at home cooking tamales. All right, you're sticking to your story. Thank you very much for your time, sir. You have a wonderful day. And I turn around and leave. I can't use the guy. I know he's lying. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't have the discovery, and I would have presented that information to the attorney, swearing up and down we had an airtight alibi for the accused, and then I would have looked like an idiot. I would have wasted my client's money, and I wouldn't have done anything for the accused in his case. Having the discovery before engaging in any real investigative work is paramount. If you take nothing else from this video, take that. We'll see you next time.